New Hampshire's streak of 14 straight FCS playoff appearances came to an end last season. It was an awesome streak, but what does it take to get a new streak started? How motivated are you guys to get that moving?
It's funny, you're sitting in the room listening to Timmy Hightower talk about legacy, and Pop Lacey turns to me and goes, I want my legacy to be back in the playoffs, Coach. And it was, a lot of people say, oh, what was it like? It wasn't fun. In November when you're sitting here in the locker room, on the Monday before Thanksgiving, and you're collecting your stuff, and you're sitting here talking about what we're going to be doing after Thanksgiving vacation, it didn't taste well for a lot of New Hampshire kids and for a lot of New Hampshire coaches. And it's an unbelievable league. From top to bottom, week in and week out, how good the teams are. And you look at the 6 teams that went to the playoffs last year, how good they were. And then you look at even like a Rhode Island, who was 6-5 and did not make the playoffs last year, who probably should have been in. You realize day in and day out how tough this league is. So it starts in December of getting ready for what we're going to be doing in September. And our kids have taken it, I think, as a personal challenge to get the program back where it was. Not that we're that far away, but it was a different time. And reflecting on it, there's a lot of things all of us can do better. And again, when you look from the inside out, from the head coach to the players to the seniors down, we got some work to do, and we've been doing a pretty good job of it so far.
There's a lot of experience back on offense. You got 9 starters back, but you have to replace a veteran quarterback in Trevor Knight. So how's that quarterback battle shaping up, and what do you like about the offense overall heading into this year?
We got 5 kids at the quarterback position that have played in the college football game. And 3 of them had a pretty good spring, competed. The 4th guy was injured a little bit on and off and did get it. But, we're going to take another 20 practices to figure out who the quarterback is. And I don't care what position that you got to figure out the most. That's the position you got to figure out the most in the CAA. And look at every team. The teams that have been, successful, the teams that won national championships, that had somebody pulling the trigger that made a difference in the program. And I look at last year like a Maine team, with the way that team developed with the quarterback play. And their defense was great, don't get me wrong, but their quarterback play, Towson with Tommy Flacco, Delaware with Pat Gill, you go through this whole league and you see that quarterback position's huge. So we got to find a quarterback, and the spring gave us some idea of it. Now we got to go through, like I said, these next 23 practices and figure it out on how to get better. Offensively, I think our running backs will be the key to our program this year. I think we found one at the end of the year last year, Carlos Washington, who had some great games and a great mix with Evan Gray. Evan's been battle tested. He's been nicked up the last couple of years with ankles and thighs and stuff like that. He's had an unbelievable spring and summer, so I'm looking forward to see those 2 tandem go. And then we have a young kid, Dylan Lobby, that I think is we got to find a way to get him on the field, get him touches like we did Dalton Crossan a couple of years ago. So there's where we go. Our offensive line, we got 9 guys back. I think that between injury and between playing last year and being part of all this stuff, we're in a good position because there's some depth there that makes it competitive and gives us an opportunity to be good. And we started falling into it towards the end of last year. Receivers, got to replace Neil O'Connor. But the great thing is we got Malik Love coming back. And Malik is a kid that, had 60 catches one year, 65, and pulled his hamstring and never got healthy from the spring until the beginning of last season and popped it in Colorado. And we missed the whole season last year. So we're looking forward to having some big things from him. And then we got to get some work out of Justin Malone Woods, our tight end. Terrific athlete. He's got to become more prominent in our offense and do it. So I think it's going to be a mix of things. But when I'm sitting here a year from now, I hope I'm talking about the success of one of our quarterbacks that took us to where we needed to go.
On defense, you have 7 returning starters, including a really experienced group in the secondary. How strong can you guys be defensively, and who do you expect to lead that unit?
Well, I know Pop Lacey is going to be one of the leaders of the defense. He's been a leader of the defense since his sophomore year in a lot of different ways, and he's led last year, and he's a big leader in the workouts and everything since the middle of January to where we are right now. As you look at it, I think Evan Horn and him are 2 best back-end defensive players that combined stopping the run and stopping the pass. You got a corner in Prince Smith, who has been an all-conference player for us, and you got another kid, Isaiah Perkins, who has been steady Eddie for a bunch of years. So those 4 guys start the back part of it to keep us from, being hurt with any X plays and being hurt. I think Pop Bush, a young man from Florida that got to play a little bit last year and now is going to get an opportunity, will be a pretty good football player. And Max Oxidine, I think another freshman's got a chance. So you look at those guys; those are the guys that got a key in the back half. For our up front people, We're young at the defensive tackle position, but I think we're talented. And again, you haven't been able to play because other guys have played. But I think we got a 3-man rotation with Lewis, Bradshaw, and Kavitas, who is a kid that is going to develop, I think, into one of the better defensive tackles in our league. Elijah had a great end of his redshirt freshman year last year, so we're sitting there seeing 3 interior people. Then on the outside, I think we got 3 kids, that are talented. I think Josh Kania is a senior, played a lot of football for us. He's injury-free right now. Brian Carter, he's injury-free right now. And a kid, Gunny Gibson, who we moved from tight end to defensive end, I think will solidify our front people.
You're 2 wins away from becoming only the 3rd coach in league history to record 100 conference wins. As you look ahead potentially that milestone, what's that going to mean to you?
Haven't thought much about it, but I'll be honest with you, Bill, I didn't even know it was happening. But I will tell you this, I think of the guys that were in the league before me. I think guys have been in the league with me that have left, Jack Cosgrove, Andy Talley, and now Jimmy Laycock. And I think of the coaches that have been through this league. I think of the great competitors they were, but also the great gentlemen that they were. I look at this league now and see coaches that, have taken their programs to unbelievable heights in so many different ways. And you just really, 1, respect what they do, 2, appreciate what they do, and 3, love being in the conference with these kind of people around you.
And 10 of the CA's 12 teams have earned playoff berths over the last 4 years. As you look at this conference, how tough is it to compete each week, and overall as a conference, how impressive is that?
Well, when you sit there, and this is what you do, who you playing this year, when you're missing games, who you going to play now? We're not playing Towson, we're not playing Richmond, and I'm drawing a blank on William & Mary, so those 3 teams don't play, And I've always looked at people and said, well, what about everybody else who we're playing? And think about the teams that we're playing: Maine, Stony Brook, Rhode Island, Albany, the teams from up north where we're at, really, really good teams. Then you go to mid-states, Villanova and Delaware, and then you go down south to JMU, William & Mary, Richmond, Elon, and you look at that league, you don't want to play any of them, but you got to play them, but what it does is get you tested. Get you battle weary for what you're going to be doing in November. And when you get to November and you got a chance, that the 5 or 6 games that you've played leading up to that are going to give you an opportunity to do something special. And then those last 3 games are something else when you get into November.